All right. Hey, Shalawam, Shalawam. Pray this be edifying. I'm trying to set it up for a way it's easy for everybody to see it. All right. Can I go lower than that? I don't think I can go lower than that. All right. We're gonna have to move it. Hold up. Move it out a little bit. Okay. All right, first and foremost, facing the east, giving all praise, honor, and glory be to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Barak. Those are the true names of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Yahawah is the Father's true name. That means He is, He exists. Yahawashi is the Son's true name. That means He saves, He delivers. And Barak is how you say a spirit that's holy, a spirit that's set apart. All right, that's all in the Lashawan Kodash, the holy language, the holy tongue, also known as the Paleo-Hebrew or the ancient Hebrew. Second of all, double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone, which rule well and teach well and sincerely taught us His truth. And Shalawam to the Lord's hopeful elect, 144,000 men, as well as 1/3 men, women, and children, maintaining themselves, keeping the laws, commandments, and statutes to the best of their ability. All right, hey, Shalawam, Shalawam. Bahasham, Yahawashi, Barak. All right, so this one is going to be entitled The True Mount Sinai. All right, the true Mount Sinai. And we got a little group chat thing, and this was a question of the day that I had put out for the brothers. And it was like, tell me the name of the true Mount Sinai and what it's actually called today. Okay, what it's actually called today. Right? Now, as you can see on this map, this is actually incorrect. And this is coming from Bible charts, maps, and timelines. This is a rose book. But as we know, you have to what? Sometimes chew the meat and spit out the bones. All right? Because, these books that you may buy, I got this from Walmart for like $20. It has incorrect information in it. Some stuff is right. Some stuff is wrong. This is why you got to be diligent and study on your own, right? And listen to the elders, apostles, and bishops of, the true men of Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, all right? So, as this one tells you, which this is incorrect, it's got them leaving Egypt over here, and it's got them basically crossing right here. But this is not where they actually crossed, man. Okay? This is not where they actually crossed. They actually crossed over here at this region. Okay? And archaeologists have actually proved this. Because when you see those movies, not movies, but documentaries, where they found chariots and things of that nature, it's actually over in this region. Okay? So, as this book is telling you, Mount Sinai is in this region, but it's not. Okay, it's actually in the Saudi Arabian desert, Arabia. That's where we was at for 40 years, dwelling over in the Arabian desert over here. So the real Mount Sinai is over here. We didn't dwell in this land for 40 years, but they would tell you that. But we actually dwelt over here for 40 years. And I'm about to bring out some information to prove it. Okay? We're not just going to say it and not prove it. And when I did this lesson maybe like a year ago, 2 years ago, this is just a refresher, okay, to, let brothers know. So let's first examine where they say Mount Sinai is. Now let's go pull that up let's pull it up on basic, on basic Google. And let's type in Mount Sinai. And let me see. Yeah, I'll read it straight off of Google. So, Mount Sinai, most commonly refers either to the historical mountain in Egypt, and that's what we're talking about. All right, we ain't talking about nothing else. Location found on the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt. Right? So if you go to images, it's going to pull up this place. It's going to pull up this. And then let's get a map. They want you to believe it. It's right here in the Sinai Peninsula. They've actually named it Mount Sinai. That's why for brothers in the chat, I said, where did we actually go after Egypt, and what is the name of it today? Because they're not calling it Mount Sinai. The real place that we went, they're calling this Mount Sinai. Now, who actually funds this? Who's put their money behind it? Right? Let's type it in. Well, let's look at the location so I can show you how preserved it is and nice looking it is. All right. Let me see, man. It's like a little tourist attraction. This is it. All right. So they made it like a tourist attraction for you to go over here and walk around and all of that. Okay. And they're actually selling you something it's not the truth. This is not where we went. But you got millions of people that go there and that gather there in the Sinai Peninsula. Mount Sinai, also known as Jabal Musa, is located in the south central region of the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt, rising 2,285 meters. Okay. Now let's prove it. Let's go into it. Let's pull up the chariots found in the Red Sea. Even this map is telling you to correct. Let me do this. Let me actually bring this out. So this is a high, dispute. So this right here, this map is showing you that they went over here. Now, this is where the chariots would have been found. As our elders bring it out, it's called the Gulf of Aqaba. The Gulf of Aqaba. That's where we truly crossed, which is a part of the Red Sea. The Gulf of Aqaba. Right? Not the Gulf of Suez. It's the Gulf of Aqaba where we truly cross. Now, if you type in, let's type this in, chariots found in Red Sea, Gulf of Aqaba. Right here, you will find Egyptian chariots, chariot wheels found at the bottom of the Red Sea. Explorations in the Gulf of Aqaba have uncovered coral-encrusted chariots. Okay? Things of that nature from Egyptian time period. Chariot wheels, all of this type of stuff. It's in the Gulf of what? The Gulf of Aqaba, not the Gulf of Suez. So it lines up. Let's go back to that. It lines up. As you could just simply go on Google and look at this, man. All of this right here. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom. Boom. Right? Divers found Pharaoh's army beneath the Red Sea. The discovery left Egyptologists frozen. Why? Because it's going to prove the Bible. It's going to prove the truth of the scriptures. It's going to let you know what really happened. right? So remember that. If you don't remember nothing, remember Gulf of Aqaba, not the Gulf of Suez. And they're constantly showing you, boom, boom, not this. So we had to cross the Red Sea, and then we ended up at Mount Sinai, which today would be called Mount Horeb, or as they put over here, Jebel El Los, because it's in Saudi Arabia. Mount Horeb. It's not called Mount Sinai today. Mount Sinai today is over here, the false Mount Sinai, which the small hatters are funding and setting up as a tourist location in the Sinai Peninsula. But the real Mount Sinai is over here. It's Mount Horeb. Now let's go bring up Mount Horeb, because it's gonna look very familiar. And then we're gonna get some precepts. Mount Horeb, or Horeb, I want to get a good picture of it. Slovakia. Right here. Right? Look at the top of the mountain. Look at the top of the mountain. Look at the rest of the mountain. Now look at the top of the mountain. To the chat, why does the top of the mountain look like that? Why is it burnt? Why? What could actually do that? Why is it burnt at the top? Somebody explain to me, because I'm lost. I'm lost. Okay? Look at that. Why is it burnt? Oh, wait a minute. Somebody know. Somebody brought a scripture out. Mount Sinai was covered in smoke because Yahawah descended on it in fire, a chariot, as brothers put. A chariot landed upon this mountain. Moses went up into that chariot for 40 days, 40 nights, man. All right, where he got the laws. So this is the real Mount Sinai. All right, geological, and the Sadia Sinai. The Sadia Sinai, or the Sadi Sinai. But no, this is the only and real Mount Sinai. The other one is a fake. The small hatters, they want to redirect you. They want to point you in a different direction. That's what they're good at, lying. Giving you lies, pointing you a different direction. Even this book, which, like I said, I got this book for $20 at Walmart. But and this is why you got to listen to the elders, apostles, and bishops, man. Okay? If you just bought this book, you're like, man, shut up. I got a Rose book, Bible charts, maps, and timelines. I don't got to listen to y'all. Okay, with your dumb ass, you going to be lost. You going to be caught up right here. And you're going to be like, oh, you see, Sinai's right here, brother. Sinai's over here. You got brothers literally coming up against us and trying to prove this. Where the scholars know themselves that Sinai's right there and that this is a big lie. That the chariots of Egypt are in the Gulf of Aqaba. At the bottom of this strait, at the bottom of this strait, that's where they're at. We crossed here and we went over here. All right. Now let me find this right here. Path to walk across. And this should lead you it should lead you into a rabbit hole of discovery. Because you're discovering the truth and you're like, yo, this is the correct way. So why did the YT man lie to us? Why did he lie to us? I want to find a video because it's a good video. Find a short one. All right, let's pull this up real quick.
Hey, Tom and Joanne Doyle here, and man, we can hardly believe it. We've been praying to come into this country for 20 years, and here we are in Saudi Arabia, and you'll never guess where we are. We are right now at the site of Mount Sinai, where Moses received the law, the covenant law from the Lord. And of course, during the time that he was receiving it, the children of Israel were defecting and building a golden calf. And then Aaron said, I don't even know where it came from. Total excuse. And God loved Israel anyway, despite all their unfaithfulness. And so, amazingly, God has opened the forbidden nation of Saudi Arabia to Christian tours.
All right. You going off now. But thank you, YT, man, for showing us that. Okay, we appreciate you using your not hard earned money that you got out the back of slaves to take your, happy go lucky ass to Saudi Arabia and show us this. Okay, Daniel Solomon, that's perfect, brother. That's perfect. You got some common sense, right? Didn't Moses go to this mountain before? Didn't Yahawah deal with Moses in this mountain before? As the brother put, Midian. Where did Moses go after he left? After he left Pharaoh, he went to dwell with the Midianites. Okay, that's where he went. Let's read this in Exodus 3:1. Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert and came to the mountain of power, even to Horeb. Even to Horeb. That's what, Esau just showed us. This is Mount Horeb. So this is where Moses was at, in the desert. This is Midian. This is where it's at. Now, furthermore, let's go get Midian. All you got to do is just do this is just a little research, brothers. Midian on a map. Show me Midian on a map. Okay. Where is it at? Where is it at? Where is this? What is this land? Wait a minute. I know that ain't the Gulf of Aqaba. I know that ain't I know that ain't Midian. I know this ain't Saudi Arabia. Make it make sense. No, it ain't no damn Ethiopia. Where are you? What's your name? Ringtone. Where are you seeing Ethiopia at, brother? I'm going to get a better map for you, man. I'm going to get a better map. Red Sea, Gulf of Aqaba. This is Midian right here. Let me see. I got to get a better map for you. Okay, this is better. The Sinai Peninsula, okay, the Gulf of Aqaba, the Gulf of Suez, and then you have Midian. You have Midian, right? So it's not Ethiopia, okay? So, man, go back. That was actually a good map. I want to use that one. Salakia. And then, as they got it, Jebel al-Lawz. So that's what? That's Mount Sinai. That's what they call it in Saudi Arabia. That's what they call it. Okay? So Moses dwelt in Midian. That's where he was for those many years. And then he came back to Egypt. He came back. He took this path. He went all the way back to Egypt and he freed his people. He brought his people back and they crossed right here to go back over here. Now, I have found a perfect video to show that, but I got to go find it again. I could go back to my old video, my old page that I did it. But I'm gonna see if I can find it one more time. Where did Israelites cross Gulf of Aqaba? Because once you know that, you start telling the internet the truth, and it's gonna have to give you the truth. Look at this. It's gonna have to give you the truth. Proponents of the Gulf of Aqaba cross in theory, it's not a theory, it's a fact. point to Nuweiba Beach on the eastern side of the Sinai Peninsula. Nuweiba Beach on the eastern side of the Sinai Peninsula. Okay? Yes, exactly. The Bible is right, and you are too. Hey, Halalyam la Yahawashi. Okay? Mount Horeb and Midian is in the same, exactly, it's in the same direction. Because Moses already was there. He knew the way. He knew what he had to do. He know I got to take these people back to Yahawah. I got to take them to that mountain that I was at, where he was talking to me at. He talked to me in what? In that bush, which this is really the angels, as it tells you. This is Yahawashi, and the angel of Yahawah appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. So this is when Moses got the name. This is when Moses got the understanding. As he tells them down here, I am the power of your fathers, man. Okay? And power said unto Moses, I am that I am. And he said, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am have sent me unto you. Now that is not his name. That's a moniker. That's an alias. 15. And power said moreover unto Moses, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, Yahawah, that's his name. It would be Yahawah if you take this back to the Hebrew. Power of your fathers, the power of Abraham, the power of Isaac, and the power of Jacob have sent me unto you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial unto all generations. So this is when Moses got that revelations, man. At this sacred mountain. He came to the mountain of power, even to Horeb. So he had to take his people back to that location. All right, this is extremely important. Right? So as it's telling you, proponents of the Gulf of Aqaba crossing theory, ain't no theory, it's a fact. We just proved it. Nuweiba Beach on the eastern side of the Sinai Peninsula, specific site where the Israelites crossed into modern day Saudi Arabia. All right, now let's go. I really want to get a video because I know it's a video on this situation. Actually, you know what? This is actually a good little thing. Okay. So the Red Sea camp and then the wilderness of Shur. Now that's a whole nother example and evidence of it. Let's type in that. Let's go get that. And then I'm going to leave that there and we're going to find a video on it. And this is how you study too, man. Okay? When you're looking up stuff, this is a good way to you just going from point to point. So the wilderness of Shur. Now let's locate where it's at. The wilderness of Shur is, I can get a better map. Look at this, Nuweiba Beach. And the wilderness of Shur would be around this location. Right here, down here. So they crossed and then they went down. They crossed and then this is all the wilderness of Shur. Okay? So, let me see if I can get a video. I want a short one, man. Whatever. All right, run it back, because the internet, like I said, is going to prove everything that we said. The wilderness of Shur, it is a long stretch of plain between the Gulf of Aqaba and the towering escarpment of the Arabian Shield. Wait a minute, not the Gulf of Suez? Like the small hatters, the tiny tops tell us? But it's actually the Gulf of Aqaba? This is where the wilderness of Shur is? Hold the front door. Are you lying? Is this the truth? Northwest coast of modern Saudi Arabia, north of Al-Bad, towards the Midian Mountains. Towards the Midian Mountains. All right? Northwest coast of modern Saudi Arabia. And we don't even got to watch this whole thing, but, I'm going to just skip around, bounce around it. That's pretty much it, just showing you, okay? And that was just off of a little bit of investigation, all right? You got plenty more videos that goes into it. So you have to know this stuff, man. You got to discern it. And you can't let Esau lie to you. Right? Now let's go back to the beach of... I got to put my phone on the charger. 1 second. And I don't want to make this a long lesson. All right, so, probably be back in here about 10 minutes more, maybe 20 minutes. All right. But let's go to... I want to type this in. So I'm going to just simply type in New Weba Beach Crossing Israelites. All right. And, all right, let's look at this one. This looks like a good one. Let's get past all that.
He had come to the Gulf of Aqaba to renew his search for evidence of the Israelites' Exodus journey. For several years, Moeller studied historical and documentary evidence suggesting Midian as the probable location of Mount Sinai.
What? So the scholars is actually learning this. Like I said, stop letting those tiny tops lie to you, man. The scholars know this. You have Edomites, as it says in Psalms, the 64th chapter, man, they shall stumble over their own tongues. You have Edomites exposing Edomites. You have YT men exposing YT men. This is a house divided against itself. Okay? This is what's going on.
He realized that to reach the mountain of God, the Israelites would have first crossed a body of water located east of Egypt's ancient borders.
The land of Midian is always on the east coast of the Gulf of Aqaba. And the mountain was in the land of Midian. There Moses saw the burning bush, etc. So if the mountain is on the east coast of the Gulf of Aqaba, and if the land of Midian is there, and if all these events took place there, they have to cross some water to get there. And therefore, the Gulf of Aqaba is of great interest.
So just by what he just said, it could have never been the Sinai Peninsula. All right? Them people that lied to you and told you it was the Sinai Peninsula, this book itself, which saying all of this is here, is an automatic lie. This is a lie. All right? But this is to throw you off. This is to throw you off 100%. None of the markers that the Bible speaks about, the wilderness of Shur, which is right here, all right, Midian, which is over here, okay, Mount Horeb, which is over, it even tells you right here that Midian is right there. Like, what? So if you're reading this book, this is for people that don't actually read the Bible. Okay, that's how they get you with these type of things. I can use this for a reference, but I know what's correct and I know what's false in these books. Right? So let's keep it going, man.
Connections between the Gulf and biblical accounts of the Exodus. A prime example is found in the book of 1 Kings. In approximately 950 BC.
Matter of fact, we ain't gonna do all of that. All right, that's pretty good. I want to go get another account. Let's go to 2 Maccabees, the 2nd chapter. Okay? This is a very good account. It is also found in the records that Jeremy, this would be Jeremiah, the prophet, commanded them that were carried away to take of the fire as it hath been signified, and how that the prophet, having given them the law, charged them not to forget the commandments of Yahawah, and that they should not err in their minds when they see images of silver and gold with their ornaments. Hey, do the same thing today. Don't forget the commandments, laws, statutes of Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Even if you got silver and gold placed in front of you, they want you to sell out and do this and do that. No. So you should not err in your minds if you keep the commandments. Okay? And with other such speeches exhorted he them that the law should not depart from their hearts. Keep the laws in your mind, in your hearts. Think upon the laws. It was also contained in the same writing that the prophet, being warned of power, commanded the tabernacle and the ark to go with him as he went forth into the mountain where Moses climbed up and saw the heritage of power. All right. And when Jeremy came thither, he found an hollow cave wherein he laid the tabernacle and the ark and the altar of incense, and so stopped the door. Now, this is actually talking about the mountain of Nebo. Okay. So, actually, Salaki on bringing that out, but it's a totally different mountain. The mountain of Nebo, but this is actually going to tie into the point if I could get a map of it. Okay, so don't think that this is the mountain Sinai, the mountain of Horeb. This is Mount Nebo. Now, Mount Nebo is where? It's right here. Okay? It's right here. So we was actually dwelling in Saudi Arabia over here for 40 years, right? And then we started to come up, and Moses got to stand upon that mountain, and he got to see the land of Israel right there. Okay? We didn't dwell over here in the Sinai Peninsula and come up. If I could let me get a better representation. All right? We didn't dwell over here for 40 years and just walk around. No. And then come up, because Mount Nebo is over here. All right? We had to come up and go into Mount Nebo so Moses could stand on that mountain and look at Israel. So everything has to match up. So this is the mountain that Moses went up and beheld Israel, the inheritance, and beheld everything that Yahawah was about to give us. But Moses was not going to be able to get it. So he just got to look. And he died at this mountain. And he was buried in an unknown place. All right? So that's Esau, man. That's Daniel. That's the 7th chapter, I believe. They shall change times. They shall change, ordinances. They're changing things. Okay? Yeah, so every map is going to tell you that Midian is over here. Every map is going to tell you that Midian is over here. Now, this goes into if brothers is going to be diligent or not. Because if a brother just simply say Mount Sinai, you think it's called Mount Sinai today, then okay, Mount Sinai is over here, where the small hats are funding at. Okay, is that the correct mountain? No, that's not. They change names of things. We have to be smarter than these Edomites. We have to dive deeper than them. All right? They even tried to call this desert Shore and say this is the wilderness of Shore, which that's not correct. So they're going to try to, and that's the whole thing with them trying to do away with, as they did away with in the UK, the Bible Hub. All right? They took away the Bible Hub, so you can't go on there and look up things. Believe it or not, brothers, one day they're going to take away Blue Letter Bible. Okay? It's going to get to the point where all you have is a physical copy of the Bible. All right? That's going to get to the point where all you have is a physical copy of a Bible. So you better know how to use that physical copy. The internet is going to be shut down. YouTube is going to be destroyed. TikTok. They've already took TikTok away before. You thought they was playing. They're going to come and take it away again when they come through with their master plan, man. Okay? Now, hey, I got more evidence. All right? Brothers posted in the chat a lot. The rock of Horeb. And just that fact. It's called the rock of Horeb. The rock of Horeb. It ain't called the rock of Sinai. It ain't called the rock of the Sinai Peninsula. It's called the rock of Horeb. You can't move this rock. This is a massive rock, man. Okay, let me get a person standing beside it. All right. Yeah, can you stand beside it, Esau? I want to get somebody standing right beside it. Whatever. Wait a minute. Nah. But it's a massive rock, man. You know, this could kind of show it a little bit. Like, it's a big rock. Okay? So Moses tapped this rock, and water began to split out of the rock. Right? Now, I've actually looked this up before. The rock of Horeb. And let's type in the rock of Horeb, Salakia. Evidence that water came out. That's all you got to type in. Evidence that water came out. And let's read what it says. The physical evidence cited for the biblical account of water coming from the rock of Horeb centers on a massive, isolated split rock located in northwest Saudi Arabia. Where are we at? We in the same location. Northwest Saudi Arabia. Not northwest Egypt, Sinai Peninsula, but northwest Saudi Arabia. Often associated by explorers and researchers with Jabal al-Lawaz, or the Mount Sinai region, which is the Mount Horeb region, which is why this is known as the rock of Horeb, because it's the rock that's beside Mount Horeb, which is the real Mount Sinai. Now, it was called Mount Horeb because, as Elder Apostle Tahar broke it down, and if you could receive it through the Spirit, right? Yahawah came down with a chariot big as the mountain, and Moses went up into it, man, for 40 days and 40 nights. It wasn't no food up there. Okay? He went up into that chariot, and he got the laws, commandments, and statutes, man. And then he came down to all of them, doing what they do. All right? Let's read these two. A giant granite boulder roughly 65 feet tall. Like I told y'all, this is a massive rock. 65 feet tall. And sitting atop a low hill is split completely from top to bottom with a large open gap in the middle. You got dummies out here saying that aliens did this. Aliens did that, brother. The Anunnaki, they came through with a laser and they went like, choo, choo. That's what the aliens did. You got brothers out here that'll teach that shit, bro. Bug outs, man. Okay? These woke. These young Pharaoh, look at my nails type niggas. Okay? Yahawah done did that, man. He ain't do him dirty because he did Yahawah dirty. You understand? You an Israelite, man. But you talking about you an Egyptian. You deserve everything that you get. Now you freaked out, man. Okay? So no, when Moses tapped this, Yahawah did that, man. All right. So that's one evidence. And then the next is water erosion patterns. Observers, researchers from organizations like the Base Institute and proponents point to smooth stone surfaces, deep carved channels, and basin-like erosion patterns at the base of the rock. If you know anything about erosion and you paid attention in science class, erosion comes from water. All right? Water erodes a surface. So basically what they're telling you is that on this rock, around here, you can tell that water was running down. Water was running down. That's what they're explaining to you. So when Moses hit it, water just started trickling down, man. So all of this was just flowing. Because think about how many people was with us. Over 600,000. You think it was just a little bit of water coming? No, it wasn't no little bit of water. Saudi Arabia is a desert, right? Yeah, Yahawah put us through there. So he made a lot of water flow from this rock. So this is an example. Now, furthermore, let's get a map. Rock of Horeb map. Where is it at? It's right here. It's right by Mount Horeb. Today's Saudi Arabia or Midian, Mount Horeb. I'm going to get one that, identifies it exactly. Let me see. Identify it exactly. Rock of Horeb map exact location. All right, this is it. Okay. So the rock is down here, and Mount Horeb is over there. All right, and we would have camped there. And it's also evidence that we camped over there because they said they found graves. I want to get one of these, man. Because I like these better. It ain't got all that different type of stuff. One second, man. Give me 1 second. So I can find a good one. This is solid though, but this don't show where the rock is, but I understand the rock would have been, below the mountain. All right, pretty much below the mountain. And this is once again, proving it again, it's in Saudi Arabia. It's in Saudi Arabia or Midian. Same thing. Midian is Saudi Arabia. Gulf of Aqaba crossing. This one even shows you Naweba Beach right there. Boom. Naweba Beach. All right. And then it has a couple other scriptures to prove it. 1 Kings 9:26. All right. Galatians 4:25. So people have done this research and study, and they know where the correct Mount Sinai is. It's not a joke. I'm gonna put this in. Graves by Mount Horeb. Let the internet work for you. There are multiple historical burial sites and cemeteries associated with the name Mount Horeb, most notably. Nah, that ain't it. Give me that. Mount Horeb, Mount Sinai. Right here. This is it. A grave-like archaeological site near Jabal Alas, that's the Saudi Arabian name of Mount Horeb, all right? Ancient burial grounds associated by researchers with the Israelites who died after the golden calf incident. Okay? So they know the golden calf grave theory. Explorers and when they say theory, just most of the time it's fact when it's dealing with this truth. Explorers and archaeologists have noted ancient Bronze Age burial sites and Tamurli near potential Exodus site in the northwestern Saudi Arabia, which some researchers suggest correlate with the fall of approximately 3,000 Israelites mentioned in Exodus. Mount Horeb and Sinai. Mainstream geography locates Mount Sinai or Horeb in the traditional Sinai Peninsula, but that's incorrect. But alternative researchers, that's what you get called when you don't agree with mainstream. You're alternative. You're the outcast. The ones that go, you're called conspiracy theorists. Remember? All right, but alternative researchers place Mount Horeb at Jabal al-Lawz because, as we showed you, the Gulf of Aqaba, as we showed you, the Rock of Horeb, as we're showing you right now, the grave sites. Okay, I got one more to show you, which is the altar that they made with the golden calf. That's also at the bottom of the mountain. The evidence is there. But alternative researchers place Horeb at Jabal al-Lawz, citing nearby features like petroglyphs, altars, and ancient graves. Right? But this is not approved by what? By the small hatters. By the Jewish. This ain't approved by them. So it's not going to stick. You know what this book is approved by? This right here is approved by the Jewish. So they're going to put Mount Sinai in the Sinai Peninsula. They're not going to put it in Midian, where Moses truly went. Things that you, and that's the thing, bro. If you trying to be in the world and stuff, you have to be approved by this white man. So understand, you do the music, do the football, do the basketball. All right, you gonna have to bend over. I told my son, he's like the star on. He was a star on his 9th grade team. He about to try. On his 8th grade team, he about to try out for 9th grade. You know, I told him try out for JV. Don't try out for freshman. You got to play JV at least. Don't go for varsity. You ain't ready for that yet. But we told him, you want to go to the NBA. This place ain't gonna be here in 4 years. We understand that. But I just told you, man. You have to bend over, and we ain't doing that shit. All right. So in his mindset, he gonna go overseas. All right. You can go overseas and do your thing, but you'll be less known. You can be famous in China if you want that. I would rather, if I play ball or something like that, I would go overseas, make less money or whatever, and just live a chill life. All right? If that is your calling or whatever. All right? But we rather do this truth, But we don't, with our kids and stuff, we don't, like, just because you a prophet, that don't mean your son is going to be a prophet or your kid or anything like that. It's the spirit has to move everything. You know what I'm saying? Keep that in mind. So, keeping it going. Let's read that last point. Mainstream historians and archaeologists treat these proposed Exodus site matches with skepticism due to a lack of definite, direct, epigraphic proof linking specific tombs to the biblical narrative. But you can't approve none of this. You can't link none of this. It's more evidence proving that it's over here than what you brought over here. Right? As we just broke that down in this video. We just showed that in this video. So last point, and I'm going to get up out of here. All right. Altar. And let's just type this in Google. altar at the bottom of Mount Horeb. Right here. It'll tell you. Golden calf altar of Aaron, Mount Sinai in Saudi Arabia. Not the Sinai Peninsula, but Saudi Arabia. The same place which we have been discussing this entire lesson. Right? And if you, where is it at, man? They got some hieroglyphics. Now, ask yourself, why would it be hieroglyphics on this? I want to find if I could find a zoomed in, stuff like this, all right? But why would it be hieroglyphics on any of this? Individuals had just came up out of Egypt. Just the way that we speak in English, you got some of our people, they didn't want to speak the Hebrew. They didn't want to write in the Hebrew. They didn't want to follow that type of way. They want to be American. You want to fit in with the YT man. You want to wear a suit and a tie. All right? So these individuals that was making the golden calf and doing all of that, these was what you know is 2/3 most definitely. They wanted to go back to Egypt and worship everything that Egypt was worshiping. This was their mindset. So as you can see, you got many different hieroglyphics and things of that nature and drawings and on here. All right. They wanted to worship a golden calf. This is that same altar which I just showed y'all. Down here. That's a calf. Look at the horns. That's a cow right there. All right. Now they made it with what? With gold. They molded it to make it. Right? And they put it in stone. When it's in stone, how could you deny it? You think somebody went out here and put that there? No, man. This has been there. Do you know how hard it is to get in the Saudi Arabian desert? This place is locked down. You have to literally get approval by the government to go in to these sites. And as you can see in the background, you got Mount Horeb in the background. That's the mountain. All right. So this was what Jake was on, man. This is where the golden calf situation happened. And Esau know it. That's why you got to know the truth to tell a lie. All right. This individual just said it's not in Saudi Arabia. Well, hey, buddy, I'm not trying to convince you of nothing. Okay. You know, just ain't for you. All right. Let me see this right here. I'm going to leave that alone. Let's keep it going. I'm going to look at that in my own time. Okay. So this altar, as we just typed in, altar at the bottom of the mountain. The split rock of Horeb is right there. This is all in Saudi Arabia. Okay? And then this is the altar. You said, where was Ham? Do you read the Bible, bro? What did you talk about? Ham? Ham was nowhere near this. What? This is thousands of years. Hey, man, I'm going to continue, bro. All right? Okay? So this is where it went down. All right. This is where it went down. Mount Horeb. Everything points to it going down over here. The split rock is right here. For that individual that just said it was not in Saudi Arabia, then why is the split rock 65-foot tall rock in Saudi Arabia? Let me guess. They moved it from Sinai Peninsula and they put it over here. Let me guess. They moved the altar and they put the altar over here. Let me guess. They moved the wilderness of Shur and they put the wilderness of Shur in Saudi Arabia as well. All the chariots that was in the Gulf of Suez, they must have put them in the Gulf of Aqaba. So the whole biblical evidence, everything you need to prove where we crossed, what happened, and all of that, they moved all that stuff to Saudi Arabia. Right? Where did, to the comment board, where did Paul go for 3 years? Yeah, where did Paul go for 3 years? Forget him. Where did Paul go for 3 years? Those brothers know. He didn't go to no Sinai Peninsula. Where did Paul go for 3 years? To be taught by Yahawashi. The water, bro. Yes. Galatians 1:17. Neither went I up to Jerusalem to them which were apostles before me, but I went into Arabia and returned again unto Damascus. Then after 3 years, I went up to Jerusalem to see Peter and abode with him 15 days. So Paul went to Arabia. He went to Arabia. Why? Because it's a sacred area. He went down here. Yahawashi taught him. Yahawashi taught Paul. All right? Through the Spirit. Yahawashi taught him. Okay? He is a proper apostle, man. So he went to Arabia. He came down from here and went to Arabia. And then he returned unto Damascus. Then he finally, after 3 years, he went to see Peter. You know? So he had to learn. And that's an example for brothers, man. Especially new brothers. Learn, study, grow, fast, pray. Make sure you know your stuff. All right? Make sure you know your stuff. And then come correct. It's ain't nobody pushing y'all to do videos like that, you know, if you don't actually know what you're talking about. So when you do a video, when you start doing videos, make sure you're comfortable and you know what you're talking about and you count the cost of the house which you're building, because this is forever, brothers. We're going to be teaching in the kingdom. You have to teach the heathen. You know, we're going to know it more then. But this is a ongoing evolution that you've engaged. So don't just start this not knowing, you got to go buy these bricks. You got to go buy these bricks. You got to buy this brick. You got to build this house. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hot out there. It's going to be cold out there. It's going to rain on your head. On my color purple shit. It's going to rain on your head. All right? It's going to be hot on your head. Okay? Your back going to hurt. Your knees going to hurt. You got to count the cost. Okay? It's going to be scoffers. It's going to be mockers. They're going to spit at you. They're going to try to cuss you out. Some brothers may want to fight. All right? It's going to be a whole lot of stuff that comes with this. You're going to be persecuted. You're going to suffer. Count the cost. No matter what, every single day, you want to place a brick down. And you want to continue building. This world is not for us. It's against us. But we must continue. And don't place a brick down wrong, because that's going to break the house. Every piece of foundation you place down, it needs to be accurate. It needs to be precise. So therefore the house can stand. You want to be in a strong tower. You want to have the right names, the right understanding, the right doctrine. Not this BS. All right? I want to know my history. They don't want us to know our history. So-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, we are the sons of God. They don't want us to know that. They don't want us to know who we are. They don't want the teachers to rise up and teach. They don't want you to understand and know your power and call upon your power, Yahawah and Yahawashi. They don't want you to call on the true names. They would rather you call on Jesus and Yahweh and Yeshua and Jehovah. So they can keep you separated, man. All right? So, hey, man, that's it, man. I'm going to get up out of here. If there's any questions, throw them in the chat real quick. But I'm cooking still. I'm cooking out, and I got to attend to the kids, for they burn my house down. So, hey, man, Shalawam, facing the east, giving all praises, honor, and glory be to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, and Kakadash. And double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone as always. Shalawam to the Lord's hopeful elect. Kwam Yasharahla, rise Israel, and Ababa Ball, death to this wicked kingdom, man. Pray we get up out of here yesterday. All right, let's go, brothers and sisters. This is not our rest. This is a place full of stress, all right? But we still stay at our best, all right? Hey. Shalawam.